Descartes was a mathematician. So he says that I will not believe anything unless there is a proof. So in this process, he starts doubting everything. Okay. He says that let me, like mathematics, 2 plus 2 is 4. Why? Because I have experienced that 2 plus 2 is 4. Anywhere in the universe you go, 2 plus 2 will always remain 4. So mathematical laws are universally valid. What is meant by universally valid? Anywhere in universe you go, it would remain the same. And until I get that type of knowledge in political philosophy, I'll not rest. So before that, let me doubt things. Everything that is told to me, everything that I've studied, I'll doubt it. And then he says, I'm doubting everything, but I cannot doubt the fact that I am doubting. Did you understand? I am doubting everything, but I cannot doubt on the fact that I am doubting. Right? See, these are big political thinkers. I am doubting everything, but I cannot doubt the process of doubting. Subhana, what's the issue? He is involved into a process. Can he doubt that he's involved into a process? Doubting something is a process. Krishna, you understood? Subhana, did you understand now? I am doubting on whatever I have been taught, whatever I see, but I cannot doubt that I am doubting. Here, okay with everyone? You will prove the existence of God through this, don't worry. How? So the next derivation from the fact, from his experience, that I am doubting. Yes, doubting is a process. Exactly, Aditya, very well put. So doubting is a process. So I'm doubting everything, but I cannot doubt that I'm doubting. Doubting, he says again, that doubting is a very conscious process. I am consciously doubting everything. Okay. So when everything I am doubting, and there is a conscious process, so there has to be some conscious element behind this conscious process. Okay. I'm doubting everything. I cannot doubt that I'm doubting. And doubting is a conscious process. So there has to be a conscious element, a conscious entity behind this process. So where does this element come from? Where do I know? Where do I start? How do I start doubting everything? How am I doing this very consciously? Something divine is there which makes me doubt. Something divine is there which makes me go ahead with this conscious activity. And that divine, that conscious being is God. So this is how we prove the existence of God, that because I'm doubting everything, but it's a conscious process. So there has to be a conscious being beneath that, behind that. And the moment I'm not doubting, I'm dead. So I think, therefore I am. You got an idea what Descartes is, right? You got an idea what he is? Yes, this is everything is there in Schrodinger's cat. Okay, you know these things. Yes, Vedas and Upanishads, these things are mentioned actually. Okay, so this is Descartes. This is the in the very least he is confusing. He's saying that I am doubting, which is a conscious process, and there is a conscious element behind that. That conscious element is God element. Okay, so unless I prove it, I'll doubt it. This is what we do in mathematics. Now, Hobbes is inspired by Descartes and Galileo. Okay, so next slide, I'll see and I'll explain it to you. Yes, Hobbes was influenced by Galileo and Descartes. Descartes has approached, suggested scientific approach in social science. Life of man is unending desire for power which ends only with his death. This is what Hobbes says. And man is utilitarian by nature, so he is individualistic, materialistic, and possessive. Passion dominates man rather than reason. Now again, contrary to what our two ancient gentlemen believed, what they believed, if you remember, fifth point, where is the contradiction with the ancient Greek wisdom? Tell me. Hobbes is saying passion dominates man rather than reason. What did the ancient Greek wisdom tell us? Reason. Yes, Aristotle and Plato. He's saying no, passion. Passion leads to desire. Satisfaction of one passion or appetite leads to another appetite. Man needs to have power to feel secure. Well, let us try to understand these things. Write something. Continue. This is just social contract, so just change the paragraph. Hobbes believes that man is utilitarian, who is dominated by passion rather than reason. Satisfaction of one need or appetite or passion, these words can be used interchangeably here. Satisfaction of one need leads to search for another need. Full stop. It is through power that someone is asking something. Leads to another need. Satisfaction of one need leads to another need, Venkat. Okay? Leads to another need. It is through power that people get things which satisfies their need. Full stop. In the absence of power, In the absence of power, man will become insecure. Man will become insecure. Therefore, life of man is an unending desire of power, desire for power. Life of a man is an unending desire for power, which ends only with the death. Which ends only with the death. Okay, so man wants more power because he is materialist. He wants to get things, and it is only through power, whether money power or physical power, that you get things. He is very crystal clear in his thoughts that appetite or passion or needs matter. Reason does not. He says that no one is a man of reason. He says, okay. So he analyzes humankind from materialistic point of view. Okay. So that is what he proposes, to study human being as a set of purely physical process. Write this. Change the para and write this. Hobbes has analyzed human beings. Hobbes has analyzed human beings as a set of purely physical process that are reducible, that can be reduced to, or that are reducible, that can be limited to body and motion. Body and motion. Did you understand this?
Sir, can you please repeat human beings as a set?
Yes, I'll repeat. From where you want me to repeat?
Human beings as a set of.
What was that? Human beings?
Yeah, from there.
Hobbes has analyzed human beings from materialist point of view, or Hobbes analyzed human beings as a set of physical process that are. Is my voice audible? Because I am hearing you very feeble voice is coming. No point of soul. There is no soul here, Harsha. At least in physical analysis. Okay. Physical process are limited to body and motion. Yes. This is what. Okay. As what was that? Hobbes has analyzed human beings as physical process that are reducible to body and motion. Every human being, after full stop, every human being wants last appetite in deliberation. Underline this. Will is nothing more than the last appetite in deliberation. Written, all of you? Change the para. Hobbes had developed what analysts call a utilitarian psychology. He assumes that human behavior works. Upon the principles of pain and pleasure, and therefore, for Hobbes, will is a determining factor in human behavior. You can see the PPTs, right? Okay. Now, what is he saying? That the willingness to do something, that is most essential factor to decide human behavior. Now, how many of you are agreeing with him that will is something which is a most deciding factor for human behavior? All of you? Sam. So, but all of you, I know all of you will agree. But then I'll quote an ancient Greek thinker and you will be rethinking your positions, whether to agree with him or not. Okay. The will changes, but then why will change? Because factors that were giving you pleasure have changed. Exactly. Needs change, the will change. Today, the first thing that you want in the morning is probably your newspaper. Believe you me, the day you are selected, maybe you will get addicted, but then you will not long to read the Hindu or Indian Express every morning at 8 a.m. the time you wake up, okay? Or the time you are having your morning tea. Theory of demand. Now, why he's saying that will is the determining factor of human behavior? Leave a line and write note. Note likho. Socrates believed that knowledge is prior to will. Now, how many of you agree? Again, think upon it. Do not give blanket statements that yes, I agree, yes, I don't agree. How many of you agree with Socrates? None of you. Anirudh, dono mein mat agree karo. You agreed on with Hobbes also. Let me check. No, Anirudh did not agree with Hobbes. Okay. You can continue. Okay, then write the next line. One must first know what is good. One must first know what is good before desiring it. Now tell me who is right, Socrates or Hobbes? You need to have a knowledge of what is right and what is wrong before you desire it. Before you will for something, you need to know. Even if you will, without any, you don't have much knowledge, but whatever limited knowledge you have, on that very basis, you will desire something. Now tell me who is correct, Socrates or Hobbes? Batao? Hobbes, still. Socrates is saying that you need to know whatever you want to desire, for that you need to know that. If you want that you are thirsty, you want a glass of water, then you must know the nature of the water. You know, it will quench your thirst, but you need to make sure that this water is worth drinking. Okay, it's not contaminated. So that is where knowledge comes into hand. For Hobbes, write the next line. For Hobbes, people first will something. People first will something. Something they believe. Yes, Krishna. Krishna, I'm supporting you with Hobbes. People first will something which they believe will bring greatest pleasure or least pain. Greatest pleasure or least pain. This is utilitarianism, right? And use knowledge accordingly. No, for Socrates it's not, it's the other way around. He understood the ideas, then he said this is what will happen. People are driven by passions, and they use their intellect as a means to decide what will give greatest pleasure or least pain. Hobbes denies free will. Very important line, underline it. Hobbes denies free will. Okay. When he speaks of will, write this. When he speaks of will, he does not suggest free, free, does not suggest that there is something called free will. People think they make free choices. People may think that they make free choices, but ultimately, those choices, those choices are determined by their last appetite in deliberating. We have seen this earlier. Please underline it. Decided by their THEIR last appetite in deliberating. People will act upon what they think will produce the greatest pleasure or the least pain. What they think will bring the greatest pleasure or the least pain. Change the para. His social contract theory, his social contract theory is the result of contract is the result of a contract between human beings and the scope between human beings and the scope and extent of the powers of the government. Full stop. State is created by mutual agreement mutual agreement of its members, and therefore government is legitimate only if it corresponds to what people have rationally consented to. Okay, did you understand this? Quite thought provoking this is, because it actually he's saying that state has the absolute. He's an absolutist, but then he ends up not being an absolutist. So this is a dilemma with Hobbes, because according to his social contract, state is legitimate as long as people ask it to, or people kind of consent it to be. Okay, so these are certain dilemmas that we more have to see here in this thinker. Any question regarding what we have discussed? Please see if you have a doubt. Yes, it is through people. Okay. Actually, he's an individualist and as well as an absolutist. He is an advocate of absolute state in his social contract theory. Okay, because man has transferred his rights to the state. And there is another very famous statement that we have not discussed, because we'll discuss it in the next class. He says liberty is where law is silent. Okay, so if there is something on which there is no law, then you can do whatever you want. You have the liberty. So liberty is where law is silent, is what he's saying. Are you getting it? Which last point are you talking about, Anirudh? If you can please write it. Scope and extent of power. See, first thing he says that actually his social contract theory is that many people come across, people discuss, they come up with constitution, they establish their state. Right now, this state the utmost task of the state is to protect life of man. Okay, because he was living into turbulent times. So once the state is formed, which has to be an absolute state, he says that people can now take liberty also. And state is absolute. State has this social contract. Because of the result of this social contract theory, state has been established which will rule, but that needs to be validated by people every time. So when people uh, do not consent, do not consider the elected government or the social government that is a result of social contract as legitimate, they can call it off, which means people have consented to a form of state And as long as they remain in the same mood, they keep giving their concessions to that form state, that will remain valid. State would remain valid, otherwise it's not. Is it all right, Anirudh? Sum it up again. See what happened when man was a caveman. Man had liberty when man was a caveman. All of you, yes or no? Please, everyone, answer this. Was man having liberty when he was a caveman? Yes, he had absolute liberty. He could do whatever he wanted. There was no authority over him. But it was a state of anarchy, of course, bound to nature laws. You cannot climb atop a mountain in 1 hour when the mountain is 10,000 feet away. So, of course, nature law was there. So, but in terms of society, in terms of the people that he was living with, it was a complete anarchy. Anyone can kill anyone, and anarchy is not a good situation because there is no security in life, right? And man is what? Man is a utilitarian creature. That is what we have seen. So he wants security, and that is why man wants social contract. Okay, he will surrender his right with some exception, like right to life. State cannot take arbitrary or right to life, and state will gain absolute power. State will be sovereign. Law is the command of sovereign, he says. Okay, so state not only has law but also power to punish the lawbreakers, right? So when state comes into existence, man has compromised on his liberty to act as per his own will all the time, right? So now man has to act as per the will of the state. And in the presence of state, man has liberty to act according to his choice only in those situations where the sovereign state has not made any law. Suppose, like 300 or 400 years back, there were still some laws by the monarchs that were ruling us, but there was nothing like Wildlife Act. You can go and hunt, yes or no? Today, can you go and hunt any animal? Trust me, even if a tiger comes in front of you, what will you do? What will you do? He will do. So you don't have the liberty to hunt animals like you had from 300, 400 years back. So Hobbes is saying that man has liberty to act as per his choice only where the sovereign state has not made any laws. You can do hunting in Mughal era, not in 2020, because the state has made laws. So man has only two options: either to live under the absolute authority of state or to live in the state of anarchy. Okay. So liberty kahan hai? Liberty is only where? Yes, yes. How will he be an individualist? That is why I said, because he is both an individualist and an absolutist. Both traits are found. How we shall study Hobbes more, and then we will assess him as a thinker. Until now, what I explained, is it okay with all of you? All of you understood it or not? Of course, there is a dilemma. Sarath, you are right. He appears to be contradicting himself, and that is why we will criticize him. On one hand, he says that you surrender your liberty. Then he says that we are an individualist. Both these things cannot be true. So there is nothing confusing. Just understand his points. This is criticism, not confusing. There are more things that we'll see. Okay, law is the command of sovereign, liberty is where law is silent. These are his famous statements that we need to clarify. That is also to some extent correct. There is something we have already discussed what is negative liberty and positive liberty. He has given his theory of legal rights as well. Okay, and he gives types of laws like religious law, customary law, natural law, positive law. Okay, so these things are left, which we shall see in the next class, and then you will understand everything. And just to give you, see, man has transferred all his right. Okay, I'm taking 5, 6 more minutes. I hope it's not an issue with you. Am I right? Bolo? Ha. So he's saying that man has transferred all his rights, and man becomes less powerful. State gets all the right, and state is having the absolute power. Man is utilitarian. That's why he wants to maximize his pleasure, minimize his pain. That's why he creates state. What is state? State is an instrument of utility created for the man to maximize his pleasure and minimize his pain. He is utilitarian by nature. Now, man has transferred all the rights except right to life. It is for the protection of right to life. Remember, first slide, it is for protection of right to life that man has created state. Correct. So, in case right to life, there is a limitation on the power of state. So, what is the limitation? State cannot take any person's life in an arbitrary way. Arbitrary, you understand? What is Article 21 of the Indian Constitution? You have to study this in ICP. Right to life and liberty. Indian Constitution explains state cannot deprive you of your life and personal liberty except what? except according to the procedure established by law. It's not like police will come and hang you tomorrow. No, if you are to be hanged, then the court must say that. And if when will the court say that? When you will have a lawyer of your choice. We are a country that gave Kasab a lawyer, right? Why? Because same thing, procedure established by law. We had to deprive him of his right to life, right? Article 21, you know, it's valid even for the aliens. Alien जादू की बात नहीं कर रहा कोई मिल गया वाला. Alien means non-Indian. Some fundamental rights are for everyone. Some fundamental rights are only for the Indian citizens. Article 21 is for everyone. So we had to deprive a terrorist from his right to life. How did we do that? He was given a fair trial. Okay, he was given a lawyer who defended him. And once the lower court said that he is to be hanged, he appealed in the high court said the same, he appealed in the Supreme Court said the same, he appealed to the President of India, and when he rejected his mercy petition, then he was deprived of his life. And all the things that happened from lower court to high court to Supreme Court to presidential reference, this is what is called procedure established by law. So even after the creation of state has no right to take the life in an arbitrary way, right? And man can resist the state if state jeopardizes his life, if state endangers his life. I hope it is okay with you now. So tomorrow, maybe we have a class on Monday, not tomorrow. So in next class, what I'll do is I'll send this PPT, and you all can read from this. I have already sent the PDF material. You can see from that also, right? Let us meet in the next class. More things will be discussed. Hopefully, we will wrap up Hobbes. Good night to all of you. Take good care and study hard.